Hey, 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 folks. It's that time again, Fan Fridays. And I'm Gordon A. Mochio, the G-Man, they call me, host of Real Talk with Mochio. And folks, Common Sense Carl writes, G-Man, let me ask you this. If the United States were ever defeated in a war and radical Islamists would impose its system here, how differently would life be for Americans? Well, Carl, you ask a very important question, and something these morons who advocate for the fall of the United States really never stop to think about and research. Well, allow me to walk you through a couple of things that would happen. Number one, the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights would be gone, kaput, out, in favor of Sharia law, which is derived from Islamic jurisprudence and religious texts. Nothing like 2,000 to 3,000-year-old religious texts running the government, folks. There would be no separation of church and state. The courts would be run by religious scholars and or clerics, known as mullahs. Religious law would govern criminal and civil cases. Religions not sensitive to Islam would be banned, with harsh penalties imposed if they're practiced. There would be major changes to civil liberties. There would be major restrictions on criticisms of religion. So much for freedom of speech, my little snowflakes. Religious blasphemy laws would be imposed. There goes Trans Story Hour. Government would control the media. No more mainstream media mayhem, and that may not be a bad thing, wink, wink. Regarding religion, Islam would become our official religion. Ah, yes, I could hear the call for prayer echoing throughout the neighborhood. Any other religion may be not allowed or harshly restricted, again, with strict penalties if violated. And believe me, folks, Islam is an expert at inflicting pain. Regarding the political structure, elections would be limited or controlled. Former politicians who advocated for the LGBTQ community would face harsh punishments and even death. There would be religious oversight of government leadership, not by bishops, not by cardinals, but by mullahs. Those who break the law will see a very, very different day. Prisoners will finally be treated like prisoners. No lawsuits for softer pillows, no recreation, no gyms, no TV, no paid sex changes, no education, and no more gourmet meal selections. Halal meals will be the flavor of the day. Culturally and socially, there will be changes to dress codes, mandatory modest clothing in public spaces, or face a harsh penalty. Restrictions on certain fashion or cultural expressions. Bye-bye those bikinis and thong wear and everything else. There will be bans on alcohol. Gambling would be outlawed. Certain movies, music, or media would be restricted if deemed immoral by Sharia law. What about changes affecting women? In most conservative Islamic systems, women's roles in public are more restricted. Get ready, ladies. Mandatory head coverings, restrictions on employment, guardianship laws requiring male approval for certain activities. And what about the economic system? Well, there'd be state control of industries. Redistribution will be based on religious obligations. So don't get too excited, my socialist friends. There would be a total foreign policy realignment. The U.S., or whatever it would be called, would likely change alliances dramatically and align with countries such as Qatar, Pakistan, depending on the ruling ideology. There would definitely be reduced ties with Western democracies, and everyone would be required to support Islamic geographical causes and ideologies. Now, here's one I bet a lot of people didn't think about, especially my gay friends who march with banners, gays for Palestine, gays for Islam. Well, my friends, same-sex relationships would become illegal. The possible consequences would include arrests for same-sex conduct, harsh prison sentences with corporal to very severe physical punishments inflicted. Death would be a most welcomed event. Those who advocate for the demise of this country have no idea of the potential consequences. So here's the bottom line. The Constitution of the United States is the greatest safeguard of liberty ever written. It protects the believer and the non-believer, the majority and the minority, the popular opinion and the unpopular ones. It protects speech you agree with and speech you absolutely hate. This is what freedom looks like, folks. But freedom only survives if people are willing to defend it. And when people begin cheering for the collapse of this country, when they romanticize systems that would erase those freedoms overnight, they reveal something very dangerous, folks. And they have no idea what the alternative actually looks like. If the Constitution disappears, my friends, the freedoms you take for granted every day disappear with it. And the America you think you hate today may suddenly look like the greatest refuge of liberty the world has ever known. Be careful what you wish for. History has a way of granting those wishes and making people regret them. And lastly, my friends, the views and opinions and statements expressed here on Real Talk with Mochio are that of the host and guests of the podcast, and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or official positions of Gordon Vincent Associates, LLC, DBA Mochio Media, or any of its subsidiaries, affiliates, or employees. And folks, until we meet again, my friends, something to think about. And as always, may the blessings of heaven rest upon you and yours. Take care. Adios.